Aloha mai kako. My name is Hokule Lindsay, and I am the Administrative Rules Officer for the Department of Hawaiian Home Lands. And this presentation is to give you some background information on proposed rules for supplemental dwelling units. We are planning for a public hearing at the end of June. So this presentation is intended to help you get familiarized and prepared for that public hearing. An SDU is a supplemental dwelling unit. And what that essentially is, it's what Hawaii County calls an Ohana dwelling unit, and it's what Maui County, Kauai County, and the city and county of Honolulu call an additional dwelling unit. Essentially, it's a smaller house, right? Smaller than your primary dwelling. It has its own entry, its own kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom, and it can be attached or detached. We've been working on this set of proposals for, well, since 2018. We did and completed beneficiary consultation um, between April and July of 2018. The report was accepted by Commission in October, and then in January 2019, we got approval from the Commission to move on to public hearing. So if we look at our process that's laid out here, the lighter colors have to do with the department working with the commission and beneficiaries. The darker squares have to do with the steps that are required by the Hawaii revised statutes. So we're in those darker squares now at the public hearing and public notice step. We have a web page that's dedicated to this process, so you can find out all the information you want about the SDU process, the rulemaking process for the SDUs. If you click on the link, not in the presentation, this recording itself, but the slides are available and the link should work in those slides. Click on it, and here we have links to all of the submittals that we've had from 2018, the most recent being September 2020. Click on any one of those links, it'll pull up the submittal. The one from 2020 in September happens to be a PowerPoint presentation. So the slides are up, you can go through the slides. Not all of them are PowerPoint, sometimes they're text. So if it's text, it'll pull up the text and you can read the information that was given to the commission at that time. The other thing on this webpage that's important right now, as we build it, is this link right here. It'll take you to the proposal itself. And you'll notice it's a long proposal, right? The document is 57 pages. Not all 57 pages have to do with SDUs. Chapter 3 is an existing chapter in our administrative rules. It deals with how to apply for homesteads. It deals with the leases and how they're awarded, any conditions in leases, stuff like that is all in Chapter 3. So what we're doing is we are inserting the supplemental dwelling unit proposal into the existing Chapter 3. You can tell what's new because everything that's new and proposed is underlined. So if you go not only in the table of contents, but if you read the actual sections, that information will all be underlined again, indicating that it is new information. If for some reason you're having trouble making those links work, you can go open up your browser, whatever search engine you have, you can type in DHHL, or you can type in the address, dhhl.hawaii.gov. It'll bring up our homepage. And on the right-hand side of our homepage, there's this little search box, and you can type in SDU. When you search it, it'll bring up your results. You can read all of them if you want, but the one we're interested in is the very first one on the list. Click that and it'll pull up that same page. Right, there's the link to the proposal and then the links to the submittals themselves. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. Why do we need rules for SDUs? Well, we know that there's a lot of interest in SDUs from lessees, and we also know that the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act, Section 2085, allows a lessee with the approval of the department to rent to a Native Hawaiian lodging either within the lessee's existing home or in a separate residential dwelling unit. So what we need the rules for is to define the process to implement what Section 205 is talking about. So that's what we're trying to do. How do you apply for the SDU? How do we verify that the proposed tenant is Native Hawaiian in compliance with the Act. That information is all what the rules are trying to spell out. The other thing I want to mention is that this proposal is for a 5-year pilot program for residential lessees. Within that 5 years, year 3, the department is required to evaluate the program. So what's working, what's not working, how can we improve it, what changes should be made? That'll be talked about in year 3, and the commission can decide to make some changes, continue the program, discontinue the program. But that's all part of the evaluation process. That'll happen in year 3. Basically, we're dealing with 3 major components: the lot, the lessee, and the SDU itself. So the lot for now has to be a residential lot. You're going to have to get the approval from your county and the building and whatever other permits are required by the county. You as the lessee must be in good standing. So the department will verify that with you and help clear things up if there's any violations that are occurring. You have to comply with housing laws. So if you decide to rent out that SDU, you got to comply with Hawaii Landlord Tenant Code, fair housing laws, all of that stuff. That's your responsibility as the lessee. And then the lessee must reside on the lot. Now, that's nothing new. It's in your lease. If you have a residential lease, you should be, you're required to be living on the lot. This is a reminder that even if you get the SDU and you decide to rent it out, and maybe you decide, oh, I can also rent out the big house. Yeah, you can, but you got to live there, right? You cannot rent out everything and go live someplace else. You got to live on the lot. You can use the SDU as a rental, again, to a Native Hawaiian as defined. That means 50% Hawaiian. Or you can use it for ohana uses. So a qualified relative of the lessee can live there. What is qualified relative? Well, the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act in Section 209A, it deals with successors to a lease, but it also tells us that a successor to a lease can be 25% Hawaiian if that person is the spouse, the children, the grandchildren, or siblings of the lessee. So we're relying on that definition and that information for that ohana resident use. Final thing about the SDU, no short-term rentals. The lease term must be at least 6 months long. What comes next? Our public hearing will be at the end of June and it'll be virtual. So you can get the link from us. Once we publish the notice, all of the information on how to get the link will be out there. You can get the link from us and participate live. It'll also be live streamed just like commission meetings, so you can watch the live stream, or because it will be recorded, you can watch it at your convenience. I want to just mention one thing to be sure that you think about it. Right? It's virtual and it's going to be recorded and it's going to be available later. So if for whatever reason you're not comfortable with having your picture and your voice out there on the interwebs for anybody to watch, then you might want to just watch the hearing and then submit your testimony in writing. Either way you choose to do it, however you're comfortable, it's your choice on how to participate. The other thing, because it's live and because it's going to be recorded and available, please don't give any personal information that you don't want out there, right? Maybe your name is okay, but you don't want to give your address, right? So think about what you're saying and what you plan to say in your testimony. Public notice will be published at the end of this month. So we need 30 days between notice and the hearing. So notice published at the end of May for a hearing at the end of June. Between now and then, read the information that's out there. I showed you where to get the rules. I showed you the page that's dedicated to this process. It'll be updated as we move through it. Let us know what you think of the rules. Participate in the hearing or watch the hearing. Send in your comments. So mahalo very much, and I will see you folks in June. Ahui ho.